What is going on, YouTube? Hope you guys are doing fantastic today. And today we have got 12 tips that I wish I knew when I first started playing. Hopefully a lot of these tips will help you guys out if you're either newer to the game or you're just getting back into it or you still just don't know a ton of stuff about. This is a little bit more noob friendly, so if you guys have been playing for a long time, you know a lot of stuff, you might know most of these. This is more geared towards the newer players that are just getting into Smite or Conquest or whatever. This is for them. Number 1, turn and run. Don't backpedal. Backpedaling slows your character by I think it's like 35% or something like that. The only character that turning and running is not better than backpedaling most of the time is Medusa, and she has a movement passive that allows her to be able to backpedal and side strafe faster than others. So if you're not playing Medusa, turn and run. A better chance that you actually get out of the fight or whatever, or somebody's chasing you down. You have a better chance of living because you're going to be faster running that way. You don't need to see what's happening behind you. Just skedaddle. Number 2, a little bit more of a Call of Duty thing. Damage and kills are mostly irrelevant. When you're playing Smite at its peak, there's not going to be much damage happening. When you're playing Conquest, it does kind of turn into Arena a little bit. When you're playing Arena, damage and kills happen a lot more. But when you're playing Conquest, you're playing at its core. Damage and kills are not going to be happening that often. You have like 10, 15 when you get to like the really, really high levels. As long as you're not playing ranked, if you're playing like some form of competitive, 12 kills is actually like pretty high for some games. But those games can sometimes de-escalate into just absolute bloodbath, 40 kills, stuff like that. But damage kills, irrelevant. Number 3, warding is essential to Smite. Learn to ward, learn where to ward, buy wards, place wards, use your free ward, sentry ward objectives, ward for safety, ward the enemy jungle, ward your jungle, ward. Learn to ward. There's a bunch of guides out there for warding. If you guys really don't have any that you can find, once Season 10 comes out, I can maybe drop a warding guide. Obviously, I'll have to play it a little bit first so I know where to ward. But yeah, if that's something that interests you guys, we'll get that out there then. But warding. Number 4, if you're playing with randoms, you're solo queued, you're just trying to have a good time, turning off chat can help a lot of the time. Smite is a competitive game. People get tilted. People start to ping. People start to VGS. A lot of the time, people will just do stuff a little bit more toxically. You can leave it on for a little bit, and then when somebody shows you that they're not trying to help you improve, they're just trying to yell at you, then you can mute them. Muting the chat is a really big thing. I know a lot of people complain about Smite or stop playing Smite and League because of people on their team or just people being toxic. So to avoid that, you can turn it off. Number 5, learning the passive of the items. Stats are great. Stats help you learn how to build. You know you need power. You know you need attack speed if you're playing ADC. You know you need some lifesteal probably. Crit, maybe some kin size. You got to learn the passives, learn what they do. Kins looks like a pretty average item if you didn't know it did % health damage every auto attack. It sounds a lot better when you know that. So learn the passives of the items. It's a lot easier than learning exactly how to build because it's like building blocks. Once you learn the passives, you learn like how to build with them or what they do. Then you can learn when to combo them with other things. Learning passives is really important. Number 6, power and pen are different. You want to build both a lot of the time, but power increases your damage. Pen mitigates the protections built by the enemy. So if you have 40 power, the enemy has 15 protections, and you have 15 flat pen, you are ignoring all those protections, and you're going to be doing true damage with that 40 power. But if you have 40 power, or say you have 60 power, you have 0 pen, and they have 15 protections. I don't know the exact number, but it's something like percentage based on protections that they have. We'll say it's like 10% less, 15% less, something like that for having a certain amount of pen or a certain amount of protections. Protections do get worse the more you have. So there is a point where there's a little bit of diminishing returns in the value of them. But build power. If you're playing a damage role like mid, jungle, ADC, you're going to need to build pen. Flat pen is good for squishies. % pen is good for tanks. And yeah. Number 7, Smite is based around farming. First and foremost, learn how to farm efficiently. Everything about Smite is farming. You want to farm to get XP. You want to farm to get gold. You want to farm the enemy team to get XP and gold. But the best way to farm is by killing camps, by killing waves, and by splitting waves if you're a support or a jungler sometimes. So learn to farm. Focus on farming first, and then kills, getting kills second. Zapman's old thing, the 3 times old thing is like 1 or 2 waves is worth more than a kill on a lot of the enemies. So yes, farm. Number 8, I have this problem still. A lot of you probably have this problem. Jump spamming is a very bad habit. If you could get to a point where you only jump spam when like nothing is happening, when you're like walking to a fire giant because you got to wipe, perfect. But if you're jump spamming, walking around the jungle, if you get blinked on or something, your beads cannot go off until you hit the ground. So that leaves about 0.5 seconds for you to just get hit by a bunch of damage and to not be able to do anything about it. It also takes about a second to be able to use an ability after jumping. So yeah, jumping, very bad. Punishes you, does nothing. If you're jumping in assault or whatever, it's whatever. But yeah, if you want to get better, if you want to be as best as you can, jumping can actually be a very big negative. Number 9, passives of gods are super underrated, but big to learning the gods in their entirety. If you're playing Smite, you're playing Thor. You know what his 1 does, you use it all the time. You know what his 2 does, you use it all the time. The 3, the ult, you know what it does, you use it all the time. Always check just to see what that passive is, to see if it can affect your game or what you're doing. Thor is very, very strong early game because he just gets extra power for the amount of enemies around him. That is big. In that 2v2 in mid lane, Thor getting an extra, I don't know the exact number, it'll say 15 power. That almost doubles his power and doubles the power the enemy also has. It makes it a lot stronger to fight him, or it makes him a lot stronger as a fighter. So learn those passives. They're really big. They're not something that you really pay attention to because it's just like a passive. It just happens. Take the time. If you're maining a god, make sure you know their passive. Number 10, understand the job of your role. Every role has a certain job to be doing. Mid laners, they want to be farming, get to late game so they can one-shot. ADCs want to be able to kill everyone in front of them, but they're not very strong early game, so they want to look to farm. Junglers want to try to slow down the enemy from farming, also getting them self-farm so they can be able to kill the enemy mid and enemy jungler. Support, you want to support your entire team, not just the ADC or the mid, the entire team, jungle solo too, to get them to a spot where they are stronger than the enemy. You can support your team by putting the enemy behind. You can support your team by peeling for them. You can support your team by buffing them up. But that is the job of the support. Solo lane, your job is to dive. You want to be getting in there. You want to be starting fights off a lot of the time. You want to be doing some damage. You want to be able to threaten the back line. That is your job as a solo laner. Understand the job of your role and do it. Do it. Number 11, Smite is an objective-based game. Towers, FG, Gold Fury, Pyro, buffs are even small objectives on the map. Scepter, Totem of Coup, all those things are small objectives to big objectives that change how the game is going to be played at that exact point or to give you an advantage. Play those objectives. Play to get those objectives. Play to stop the enemy from getting those objectives. That'll give you a big lead or to slow the enemy from getting even farther ahead. Play around to your objectives. And lastly, number 12, I get asked all the time how to get better at Conquest. You want to get better at Conquest, you have to play Conquest. Playing this arena does not change how you're going to be playing in Conquest. Playing Assault will not change how you play in Conquest. If you want to learn the gods, that's different. You can play whatever you want. You can play Assault just to get a random god to learn that god and to learn how they play. But if you want to get better at solo lane, you have to play solo lane. If you want to get better at jungle, you have to learn to play jungle in Conquest. That is how you get better at the game. I didn't just watch Zapman play for 2 million hours to learn how to play Smite. I played the game for about 1 million hours myself. That's how you get better at the game. So if you want to get better at the game, you have to play the game. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, though. Hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your day. I'll see you guys again next time. Peace.